3970 Paloma Trailhead is the most easily managed road by the gatherers. And it just seems very strange that they're keeping the most dangerous road, two-way road, and the one road that is manageable by the gatherers and necessary in order to facilitate gathering is being made a one-way road.
Do you believe that this is just their way of trying to assert control of the entire event?
Yes.
Because obviously, I mean, we're not even close to the amount of people that are going to arrive. This event really doesn't get going for another, week, 10 days.
Yes. Yes, I do believe it's an issue of control over the gathering. And historically, if you go back, you can see where the regulations have been changed and amended and amended and amended over the last 30 years in an obvious intent to shut down gathering and prevent equal individuals from freely assembling without forming themselves or structuring themselves in a prescribed or dictated manner where agency can be effective.
One thing I know about the event is they've always done a good job of sort of policing themselves.
Yes.
That's not exactly what's happening now. The police or the Forest Service are policing the event. Kind of unnecessarily, you think?
I think heavy-handedly. Right? Now, when there's a situation or an issue, loud people parked in the way, and an intoxicated sister yesterday. People were willing to take the sister over to her camp and let her sober up. People were willing to move the vehicles, and the officers are saying, no, she's coming with us, made a big scene, had to get physical and drag her, insisted that whoever parked the car, and incidentally, when the car was parked there, it was legal to park there. That the person come up there so they can check license and registration and eventually run their dogs around it. Just like when they stop a vehicle for a simple thing as a license plate light out. They will stop the vehicle. Another law enforcement vehicle will come from the other direction or behind it. The road will end up being blocked, and then the officers start grazing down the line of cars that are backed up. Sometimes ordering people out without even a conversation with them and bringing dogs over and putting the dogs in their car. You can't do this anyplace else, in any other city in the country. But it sure happens there on a regular basis. And it creates a tension by the attendees, and they start feeling harassed and oppressed, and then that vibe starts building instead of a vibe of peace and harmony.
So do you think they could contribute to that peace and harmony by maybe cutting back on the stops, the citations? What would you like to see happen? I mean, obviously they're going to be up there, but
yes. And there was a time when we had a very good relationship with law enforcement. We had coffee and lunch in restaurants together. We discussed the problems.
They're working
we
through
worked together to solve the problems rather than trying to enforce petty statutes and try and create larger issues out of. It's interesting that out of hundreds, maybe even thousands of stops all over the issue, well, there's drugs here, they have never come up with a real quantity of drugs when you add it all up. Any town would have more real traffic violations or drug violations than they find up there with all this harassment. That's like their record.
Okay. going forward, this event, still a week, 10 days from happening, what do you want to see happen?
Well, I would like to see it get on a cooperative plane like existed 10, 15 years ago. Where the officers are feeling comfortable and enjoying themselves as much as the attendees are. They're up there, they're stressed, I understand that. They're probably scared too. But the people have the right to peaceably assemble without political control. And historically, the Rainbow Gathering has brought together the cross-section of society from one end to the other end, economically, politically, spiritually, and worked in relative harmony for 2-3 weeks without a third party holding a gun to everyone's head. I expect that creates fear and a control apparatus. But it's still lawful, and it was the intent of the Constitution of this nation to preserve that.
Your name one more time?
Principle.